Despite the big expectations before the weekend, Mercedes underdelivered in Austria. Yes, some of it can be attributed to the array of time penalties after the race, but neither of the two Silver Arrows not even finishing top 5 is unacceptable for a team that wants to fight for the second spot. However, with the new upgrades coming up at their home track of Silverstone, we might even see Mercedes fighting for the win, because these upgrades promise a lot. Let's take a look at what the Brackley team have in store for the British Grand Prix. When Mercedes decided to abandon its unique design philosophy in favor of a more traditional approach, the improved performance witnessed in the Grand Prix races in Monaco, Spain and Canada suggested that the switch was a wise move. The disappointing results in Austria might just be an anomaly, but the notably slower pace at the Red Bull Ring had left the team perplexed as they searched for explanations. This situation could simply be due to a setup that didn't align well with the W14's new configuration, providing an opportunity for the engineers to learn from their missteps. Hamilton mainly attributed the team's struggle to an over-adjusted front wing, noting that the team went too far in their attempt to rectify persistent issues with the rear end of the car. Hamilton said that Brackley team's Red Bull Ring woes were definitely surprising after its recent resurgence, as his W14 felt worse to drive than in the previous 2 rounds. "I definitely didn't expect to be as bad as we were today," he said. "I don't really have an answer for it really. It's definitely surprising, but the feeling of the car was very much the same as the feeling I've had all last year. So in that respect, it's not the biggest surprise. The car was definitely different compared to the last 2 races. The last 2 races were way better than today." Starting 5th on the grid appeared promising for Lewis Hamilton, but he and Mercedes experienced a challenging race. Toto Wolff's radio interjections best encapsulated their struggle, with his second remark being a rather blunt, "Lewis, the car is bad, we know, please drive it." Hamilton had inquired about his competitors seemingly violating track limits, competitors who he couldn't keep pace with due to his car's slower speed. Hamilton's control issues escalated when he excessively adjusted the front wing in an attempt to stabilize the rear end of the vehicle. As a result, he had a hard time maintaining his position on the track, particularly during turns 9 and 10. This led to him being penalized for violating track limits with a 5-second penalty handed down after just 17 of the 71 laps. Following the race, he, along with a few other drivers, was penalized once again. A 10-second penalty was imposed, and the fact that the penalty did not affect Mercedes' points total, his demotion merely advanced Russell, indicates that Mercedes still lacks a definitive advantage in the contest for second place behind Red Bull. One of the distinctive characteristics, if I might call it that the W14 has become known for is its inconsistency. More specifically, the car displays the characteristics of a title-winning machine on one track and those of a middle-of-the-pack vehicle on another. This up-and-down performance can largely be attributed to the car's setups, which was the case in Austria, where Hamilton significantly lagged due to these setups and was slapped with an extra 15 seconds of lap time by the end of the race, unable to keep Norris's McLaren at bay. For anyone who watched the Austrian GP, certain questions inevitably arise, one of which would be, does Mercedes possess the capability to contend for a race victory sooner rather than later? While team principal Toto Wolff has identified the Silverstone GP, their home track, as the venue where the W14 has the best shot at clinching a win, other variables come into play, like a bit of luck and potential underperformance from Red Bull. Nonetheless, Mercedes is gearing up with a significant upgrade package, and the car's floor is a critical area targeted for further enhancement. You might be wondering, didn't they already overhaul the floor following their new design philosophy introduced in Monaco? The answer is yes. However, after witnessing what Red Bull had under the hood when Perez's car was lifted for inspection, they realized the amount of work still needed in this crucial component of every 2023 spec car. And Mercedes is definitely hoping for a bounce back from Austria as soon as this weekend at Silverstone, when they're set to unveil the latest stage of upgrades for the W14. Hamilton has been looking forward to its introduction before the action in Austria was even all said and done, and Wolff did stress that Mercedes were not about to get too confident too soon. But at the same time, they see a clear opportunity to bounce back immediately and ensure that Austria was nothing more than a blip. "We're pleased to get back racing after a bruising weekend in Austria," said Wolff. "We scored a handful of points, but we didn't have the pace for much more. The field behind Red Bull is incredibly close and also fluctuating each weekend. Some of this is circuit-specific and some the upgrade cycle across the grid. We fell on the wrong side of this equation in Spielberg, but we've got a chance to bounce back immediately. The team has been hard at work to analyze and draw learnings from our performance. We have taken the result on the chin and will aim to recapture the momentum we had built up across previous races. With the next upgrades and experiments coming in Silverstone, there are reasons for optimism. But Mercedes should not get ahead of themselves, as the British Grand Prix is one of the highlights of the season, with one of the best atmospheres anywhere in the calendar. And it is certain that the support from the home crowd will be of utmost importance for the Silver Arrows. If there's one race Mercedes really wants to win, it's this one. I see them pulling all stops to ensure a good result this weekend, so let's see what they can do. What is for certain, every Formula One fan is excited to see what Mercedes brings to the table for Silverstone. What many would like to see in the upcoming Grand Prix is a victory from any team besides Red Bull. And don't get me wrong, this is not out of any sort of hatred towards the Austrian team, because I and everyone else respect the advancements they made, but a season dominated by one team can sap the interest from fans, as was evident from 2014 to 2020. Such a scenario could again lead to a significant decline in the sport's popularity, and considering this, Mercedes might be among the teams best equipped to make things more difficult for Red Bull. Additionally, Mercedes plans to test a new floor they're introducing at Silverstone in the wind tunnel in Brackley for an extended period. They have approximately 17% more wind tunnel time compared to Red Bull. If they find that this floor is the optimal fit for the current W14 chassis, we can expect a significant improvement from the Silver Arrows. Not to mention here that the team's mindset has transformed, from expecting Red Bull to win every race in 2023 to now eagerly seeking to close the gap faster than anticipated. This shift underscores that the 2023 season is far from decided, at least for the second-place teams. Even though Verstappen is in a class of his own, there are still many variables to be settled with the other competitors. Hamilton has also spoken about the upcoming upgrades in Silverstone, ones he's looking forward to see being implemented on the car, and when talking about this matter, he was asked about whether or not there is an improvement in the car's development direction, as he answered, "We brought a lot of upgrades last year and we did make some progress, but we found with this generation of car, adding performance was not easy. When you added performance in the wind tunnel, it looked like it was real performance, but then you put them on the car and the car would bounce more. We've taken a step in the right direction, but I don't think we've completely got to where we're going in terms of that direction. I think we're still turning, but we've got progress, real progress that's coming over the next month, which is really exciting to see." So yeah, I can't wait. And just in terms of being in the car, I'm starting to feel more confident in it. So, finally feeling more like a race car. This answers the question of whether Hamilton will be sticking with Mercedes for the coming years, even though, as we know, the contract talks have hit a stalling point. It's also important to note that Silverstone won't be the only race where Mercedes introduces upgrades. The upcoming Budapest race will also witness enhancements to the W14's aerodynamic concept. This is the race where Russell achieved his first pole position, and although the race speed could have been better, both Mercedes drivers landed on the podium. This is an outcome they'll certainly want to improve upon in both Silverstone and Budapest over the next few weeks. What do you think? Can Mercedes bounce back in Britain and establish themselves as the prime candidate for that second place? Let us know in the comments below, and we will see you in the next video.